It began like any other patrol. Calm seas, routine checks, and no sign of danger. But beneath the waves, something deadly was waiting. When the first torpedo hit, everything changed. This is the forgotten story of the USS Harrow and the crew who fought fire, steel, and fate, until their ship was swallowed by the sea. If you believe in honoring real heroes, hit that like button and subscribe to Wings of Valor. Let's remember them together. The ocean stretched endlessly in all directions, a sheet of glass under a slate-gray sky, eerily still as though the world itself had paused to hold its breath. And aboard the USS Harrow, a battle-worn American destroyer patrolling the waters off Peleliu, there was no sense of dread. No warning, only the low rumble of the engines and the creaking of steel as the ship sliced forward, unaware that beneath them, in the silent deep, something stirred. A Japanese submarine, sleek and invisible, had stalked the vessel for hours like a predator tracking prey, and now in the dim confines of its control room, red lights flickered softly as the order was given. The torpedo launched, a single, glowing spark, igniting in the abyss before streaking forward in a trail of bubbles and vengeance. And above, the Harrow's sonar operator blinked in confusion a half-second too late, his warning drowned out by the roar of metal being torn apart. As the torpedo struck starboard midship and the sea erupted in a geyser of fire, steel and bodies flung like rag dolls into the sky, a towering fireball lighting the heavens as sailors screamed, ducked, or died instantly in the shockwave. And within the bridge, drenched in red emergency light and choked by smoke, Captain James Renner gripped the rail with white knuckles, his voice hoarse as he issued orders through the roar. Secure the engine room, brace for second strike. But even as his words rang out, a second torpedo slammed into the aft section, snapping pipes and sending walls buckling as flames engulfed the lower decks. And crewmen scrambled, some with fire hoses, others with bare hands, trying to fight an inferno that could not be tamed, that crawled across the deck like a living beast. And outside, depth charges were rolled off the stern in a desperate counterattack, cylinders thudding into the water, trailing ribbons of bubbles before detonating. Below, in bursts of white and thunder that sent fish and debris, spiraling through the depths. But the submarine had slipped away like a shadow in the dark, and now the Harrow groaned under her wounds, her hull cracked, the deck listing sharply as sailors leapt overboard in frantic arcs, silhouettes cast against the moon as they plunged into the Black Sea, their cries muffled by the crash of water and the distant wail of sirens. And below the waves, another blast lit the ocean floor as a depth charge found its mark, a blast so violent it stirred the silt and revealed the scattered remains of forgotten wreckage, a helmet, a rifle, a broken crate. And as the battle raged above, flares soared into the sky, trailing red fire that bathed the ocean in bloodlight and cast long shadows as American fighter planes in formation passed overhead, distant and ghost-like, too late to change the course of what had already begun. And on the burning deck, amid ash and broken bodies, a single sailor dropped to his knees, eyes closed, hands folded in trembling prayer, fire flickering behind him, smoke curling into the night like souls ascending, while the captain, bruised and bleeding, stood atop the bridge, removed his cap with quiet dignity, and saluted his men as he gave the final command. Abandon ship, his voice barely a whisper now, lost in the chaos as he turned to face the flames, knowing full well he would not leave with them, choosing instead to stay with his vessel as tradition and honor demanded. And in the wake of that command, lifeboats splashed into the sea, some intact, some capsized and aflame, drifting among the wreckage as the Harrow cracked and split, her bones giving way to fire and pressure until, at last, with a groan like the sigh of a dying titan, she disappeared beneath the waves, leaving behind only fire, oil, and silence, broken by the buzzing of distant engines and the lapping of waves against floating crates and life jackets. And the next morning, as dawn crept over the Pacific, black smoke still curled into the sky in twin pillars, painting the horizon with sorrow. And in the calm that followed, among the drifting debris, a soaked and trembling sailor clutched a ruined logbook, its pages torn, but legible, names written in haste during the final moments, hands shaking as they marked the lost. P. Kendall, Monsieur Harris,
D. Hunter.
and at the end, a name unfinished. A pencil broken mid-letter, as though time itself had cut him off, and though the Harrow was gone, and many of her crew with her, the ocean did not forget. The waves carried their story, and somewhere in the deep, where sunbeams reach broken hulls and rusted guns lie quiet beneath layers of time, their memory waits not in monuments or medals, but in the currents, in the silence between tides, and in the final storm at sea. That marked the place where bravery burned brightest against the dark. The USS Harrow never made it home. Her crew's final moments were not marked by medals, but by courage, loyalty, and sacrifice beneath the burning sky. And though the ocean took their bodies, it could never drown their story, because as long as we remember, they are never truly gone. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to Wings of Valor, where the past lives on. And heroes are never forgotten.